measurement of cardiac function, arteries, capillaries, uh, veins. Exchanging molecules from the blood stream to tissue from the basis of life, delivering nutrition, carrying waste products to the discharge of. This occur in blood vessels known as the capillaries. This is the smallest part of the blood vessels. These arteries, capillary, and the smallest part of the vein is venules. We shall look at how molecules move between capillaries and tissue, as well as related clinical conditions. If this flow of blood has some problem reaching to up to the capillaries and venules, then we have to check the clinical condition that person is suffering from some disease, maybe hypertension, peripheral resistance to the vessels, arteriosclerosis, atherosclerosis. Structure. The structure of capillaries facilitate efficient exchange by maximizing Fick's law. Fick's law stated that the rate of diffusion is proportional to the concentration of the differences in area available for diffusion, while being inversely proportional to the diffusion distance. Means the concentration of the blood in capillaries as well as in venules, as well as in tissues. Means the capillaries which ends into the tissue, if the concentration of capillary blood is higher, then it will penetrate into the tissue. And if in the tissue, the deoxygenated blood after using have higher concentration, then the blood will flow from the tissue to the venules. So this is the concentration difference which make it available, which make it diffusible from capillary or venules to tissue or tissue to capillary or venules. To maximize area available for diffusion, there are many capillaries supplying the same tissue. A constant blood flow through the capillaries maintain a large concentration gradient to allow the molecules to be exchanged with the tissue. There is not a single capillary, there is a million of capillaries that are available on those tissues, muscle tissue or the organ tissues, and that supplies continuous blood, pure blood to those tissues for getting nutrition, oxygen, and other immunological cells. As well as when the concentration of the tissues increases of the deoxygenated blood, then it will and diffuse into the cap venules and it will return to the right heart for the purification. Additionally, although a singular capillary has a large resistance, many capillaries in parallel reduce the resistance and allow efficient blood supply to the tissue. Of course, there are large resistance in many capillaries to deliver the blood into those tissues and tissues, but along with those capillaries, there are other capillaries which provide the blood to the tissue by reducing the resistance. Finally, the diffusion distance is minimized as the endothelium of the capillary is just one cell thick. Means the capillary vessels are consist of single epithelial cells, and they have got a gap in between them, which is known as a fenestration, through which the exchange of blood takes place from the tissue and tissue to capillary. The number of such channels or pores can vary depending on the function of the tissue. For example, the renal capillary is able to exchange water and electrolyte much more efficiently and selectively than other capillaries. Some capillaries for which supply blood to the special organ of the body, for example, kidney, those capillaries are able to exchange water and electrolytes also. Here is a diagram showing the structure of the capillaries. It has got on the top is a basement membrane, then it has an endothelial layer, tunica intima, we call it, because there are three layers in the capillaries. Then intercellular cleft. Here you can see the fenestration, means the holes into the capillary, which from these holes, which is known as fenestration, the blood comes out and supplied to the tissue. Intercellular gaps are there, incomplete basement membranes. So we call it sonoids. So continuous capillary is also there. Fenestration means there is a hole, small holes or pores, and then sinusoids means a space. Lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is a subsystem of the circulatory system in the vertebrates body. Vertebrates means any mammal which has got a vertebral column. Body that consists of a complex network of vessels, tissues, and organs. The lymphatic system helps maintain fluid balance in the body, intracellular and extracellular fluid, by collecting excess fluid and particulate matters from tissue, from tissue and depositing them in the bloodstream. It also has defend the body against infection by supplying disease-fighting cells called the lymphocytes. So lymphatic system has also contained the lymphocyte, which is the WBCs, and these lymphocytes they fight against the any infectious organism present in the blood. The human lymphatic system showing the lymphatic vessels and lymphatic organs. You can see how these lymphs are lymph organs are present in our whole body. There is adenoid lymph nodes, tonsils in your throat, there is a tonsils, lymphatic vessels are there, cervical lymph nodes, means on your neck there are lymph nodes, we call it cervical thymus gland. This thymus gland is only present in young age. Right lymphatic duct, axillary lymph nodes, armpit, there are lymph nodes. Spleen is also one of the organs which has got lymph, lymphatic, this is known as lymphatic organ. Then fire patches in the intestine. Then we have got inguinal lymph node between the thigh and the stomach. So these are some supply of the lymph nodes are shown over there in this figure. Lymphatic circulation. The lymphatic system can be brought up as a drainage system needed because as blood circulates throughout the body, blood plasma leaks into the tissue through this thin wall of the capillary. The portion of blood plasma that escape is called the interstitial or extracellular fluid, and it contains oxygen, glucose, amino acids, and other nutrients needed to tissue health. So from this lymphatic circulation vessels also, there are certain holes, fenestration in this. The material comes out to the interstitial tissue for providing nutrition. Although most of this fluid seeps immediately back into the bloodstream, a percentage of it, along with the particulate matter, is left behind. The lymphatic system removes this fluid and these materials from the tissue, returning them via the lymphatic vessels to the bloodstream and thus prevent the fluid imbalance that would result in the organism death. Here you can see the lymph system of the head and neck. Whole figure shown over here is representing the nodes which are distributed in our head and neck. So this is very important lymphatic system for our defense mechanism of the body. Now talk about the baroreceptors. Baroreceptors are mechanoreceptors located in both the carotid sinus and the aortic arch. You know the branch comes out from the aorta is known as carotid artery, and then the aorta will bifurcate while coming out from the left ventricle, and one part of it will go to the head and neck and other to the body. Thoracic aorta, abdominal aorta, then divided into femoral artery in the legs of thighs, which are sensitive to stretch. These receptors are situated over here at the carotid sinuses and aortic arch, and when the blood vessels stretch due to the presence of the quantity of blood, it will give you reflexes. Their function is to detect changes in the arterial pressure and communicate this to the medulla oblongata in the brain. It means when there is a higher pressure on the aorta, at the aortic arch where baroreceptors are present, it will inform to the medulla oblongata there is an increase of the blood pressure, and from the medulla oblongata a nerve comes out which is known as the vagus nerve, which is a 10th cranial nerve. That 10th cranial nerve will control the blood pressure, and it acts as a parasympathetic autonomic nervous system nerve. The medullary center in the brain are responsible for the overall output of the autonomic nervous system, as I have mentioned you, because autonomic nervous system is consists of sympathetic and parasympathetic, and this has been controlled by the medullary center, which is at present at the medulla oblongata at the above of your neck, base of the skull, and use the information feedback from the baroreceptors to coordinate response. If an increased arterial pressure is detected, the parasympathetic pathway is activated to reduce heart rate. This, along with increasing vasodilatation of the vessels, act to reduce the arterial pressure. If a decrease in arterial pressure is detected, a sympathetic pathway is activated. If parasympathetic will decrease the arterial pressure, then sympathetic system will increase and bring it to the normal to increase the heart rate and force of contraction of the heart. This, along with increasing vasoconstriction of the vessels, act to increase the arterial pressure. So if there is increase of arterial pressure, then autonomic nervous system, which start from the medulla oblongata, will decrease the blood pressure through parasympathetic and increase the blood pressure through sympathetic. Here is it is showing the baroreceptors action reflexes. Cardiac inhibition centers are there. Baroreceptors can decrease the heart rate, or cardiac accelerator increase the heart rate, or vasomotor centers, vessels control the vessel, cardiac output, vasodilatation, blood pressure drops. Then homeostasis means balance of the blood pressure. Same way, if there is an increase of the blood pressure, this phenomenon will take place, which is shown over here. And if there is a decreased blood pressure, then baroreceptors firing, it will stimulate cardiac inhibitory centers, cardiac acceleratory centers come in action, vasomotor centers, cardiac output, and vasoconstriction of blood pressure increase homeostasis. So decrease and increase will balance towards the normal side. Stalling forces. Stalling forces fluid movements between the capillaries and tissues is controlled by four forces. These forces are blood hydrostatic pressure, the pressure exerted by blood in the capillaries against capillary wall. This pressure force fluid out of the capillary. Stalling forces means the pressure present in the tissues and present pressure and pressure of the blood is present in the vessels, capillaries and venules. Blood collide osmotic pressure, we call it, first we have a blood hydrostatic pressure. Hydro means water, right? So means liquid, that is a blood. And then blood colloidal osmotic pressure means solid part. The pressure exerted by proteins, which is solid part in the blood, mostly albumin in the capillaries. These proteins are normally too large to diffuse into the intestine, but a certain scenario, such as in inflammation and pathological circumstances, these proteins can. Means in normal condition, from the blood, protein cannot come out into the tissue, but in the case of inflammation, these proteins can come out of these capillaries and enter into the tissues at the condition of inflammation of pathological circumstances. This pressure is attempting to pull fluid into blood. Interstitial hydrostatic pressure, the pressure of the blood of the fluid in the interstitium. This pressure forces fluid back into the capillary. Interstitial colloidal osmotic pressure. This pressure of the protein in the interstitium, this pressure pulls fluid out of the capillaries. If the interstitial colloidal osmotic pressure means there is accumulation of the solid part, means protein in the tissues, if there is a certain damage is happening over there, some infection or something like that, and if interstitial tissue solid part, that is a colloidal, that is protein, is more than the pressure of the protein in the intestine, this pressure pulls fluid out of the capillaries. Means it will take the fluid from the capillaries and deposit into intestine, and we call it edema. Here is we are showing the Starling forces that take place over a capillary bed. Filtration, no net movement, reabsorption. Arterial and net filtration pressure plus 10 mmHg, Hg means mercury, millimeter mercury. Mid capillary net infiltration pressure 0, and venous and net filtration pressure is -7, not the plus. Fluid exert capillaries since capillary hydrostatic pressure is greater than the blood pressure, osmotic pressure. Net, in mid capillary, no net movement of the fluids since capillary hydrostatic pressure 25 mmHg equivalent to blood colloidal pressure means both side pressure is equal. So blood doesn't move from the tissues to the capillary and capillary to the tissues. But in high pressure in the capillaries, which is 35 mmHg, and in interstitial fluid is 25 mmHg, it means it will move from higher to lower concentration. In the same way, in veins, fluid re-enter capillaries since capillaries hydrostatic pressure is 18 mmHg is less than the pressure, colloidal osmotic pressure is 25. So the interstitial fluid concentration is 25 mmHg and capillary is only 16, so it will move from interstitial fluid to the venules or capillaries. Clinical relevance, Kwashiorkor is one of the diseases which is happened more in the Africa because of the malnutrition. Kwashiorkor is a disease caused by the severe malnutrition, although protein intake is most significant affected due to the lack of protein in these type of people who have got a Kwashiorkor, which they are mostly in the Africa or third area in Sindh. Due to the lack of protein intake, the liver will produce less plasma proteins such as albumin. Therefore, this will decrease the blood colloidal osmotic pressure and less fluid will be drawn back into the capillaries and stay in the tissue. This fluid, this built-up of fluid is symptom common to many diseases and is known as the oedema, means swelling, which is Kwashiorkor may mark the typical muscle waste commonly seen in other malnutrition diseases. Means if there is in Kawasakar especially, the patient is lean and thin, but due to the edema, he looks like a healthy person. Hence, patients with Kawasakar have a distended abdomen. Abdomen is bulging out, but this but thin extremities, but the legs and the hands are thin, but the stomach is bulging out. Blood volume and long regulation of the arterioles. Blood volume and long-term regulation of the arterial pressure. Blood pressure is a measure of how well our cardiovascular system is functioning, means how our heart is functioning, and what is the condition of our blood vessels. We all require a blood pressure high enough to give our organ blood and nutrients they need, but not so high our vessels become damaged. As such, our bodies must maintain control over our blood pressure to keep it at a normal level. In this, we will consider the short-term and long-term control of blood pressure, control of the blood pressure, as well as some of the problem when control of the blood pressure is lost. So now, now we'll see the blood pressure. The body blood pressure is a measure of the pressure within the cardiovascular system during the pumping cycle of the heart. When the heart is pumping blood to the whole body and head and neck, we call it systemic circulation. And one is pulmonary circulation, with the heart pump blood towards the lungs for the purification. And after purification, the lungs will throw the blood towards the heart to supply to the body. So there is a cycle, the pumping cycle of the heart. It is influenced by the vast number of the vessels, variables, and can alter in either direction for various reasons. Everyone's blood pressure is slightly different and can change through the day depending on activity. There is a range of normal blood pressure that we consider as acceptable. So acceptable blood pressure is, for example, in healthy individual is 120 by 80, 120 mmHg systolic and 80 mmHg diastolic. When blood pressure is outside of this normal range of the value, people can start to have a problem in both long and short term. Our body to maintain a stable blood pressure is in the process of homeostasis. Meaning homeostasis means our body will maintain a normal blood pressure through the autonomic nervous system, which is controlled by the medulla oblongata into the brain. So we need a homeostasis, means balancing of the blood pressure, neither the low or nor the high. Blood pressure is measured using an automated blood pressure monitor. We have a blood pressure apparatus. Manually using a stethoscope and sphygmomanometer, it is giving as two values. For example, 120 by 80, 120 is systolic and 80 is diastolic blood pressure, mm, millimeter, Hg, mercury. Measure in millimeter of the mercury, mmHg. Systolic blood pressure, first number 120 mmHg is the example, is the pressure of the blood during the heart contraction. When the heart contracts, we call it systole, and this is represented by 120 mmHg pressure. And diastolic, the second number 80 in the example, is the pressure of the blood after one concentration but before the next concentration. Means when the heart relaxes and it will take the deoxygenated blood in the left atrium, in left right atrium and right ventricle. That pressure is known as diastolic pressure, which is 80. Blood pressure can be calculated as flow into resistance. How fast the blood flow and how the resistance is happening in the blood vessels. Mean arterial pressure is the cardiac output, means how much blood is coming out of the heart in one stroke, one contraction, into the total peripheral resistance. Then we talk about the short-term regulation of the blood pressure. I think for today this is enough. And if you have any query, then please contact me so I can explain you further. Thank you very much.